Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us and a very good morning. This is hashtag Y in the morning. Today being a Tuesday, it's all about matters, innovation and entrepreneurship. And guess what? We have an interesting show lined up for you. My good name is Sanko Brian at Brian Sanko 101 is my socials. And find us as well at Y254 channel on the hashtag Y in the morning. This segment is all about Y Interactive, where we keep you up to speed with what's trending, what's hot, what's not. And I'm not alone today. I'm being joined by my co-star. He's Kevin Odipo. He's an engineer by profession. Karibu sana, Kevin, and good morning.
Thanks. How are you, Brian?
I am fantastic. Good to have you here.
Thanks. Glad you could.
I see what you did right there. Tell people what you do, just in case they have no idea what you professionally do, before we get to interactive.
Okay, I'm Kevin Odipo. I'm an engineer by profession, currently at the University of Nairobi. I'm a student leader. Unfortunately, I'm not a dad. It's International Father's Day, but I'm a son. I'm an uncle, and I'm happy to be here. Yeah.
Yes, sir. I love how you said you're a son and an uncle. Yeah. Good things. And speaking of good things, what caught your attention yesterday? Because a lot is actually trending. If you check on X, there's several hashtags. And then we have a copy of my Gov here. I also have a copy of the Daily Nation. You also have a copy of the Star. Maybe what caught your attention yesterday? Yeah.
What really caught my attention, and it's something that is next to my heart, is whatever is happening currently in our nation, with the murder of Albert Ojwang. Yeah, it's really gruesome. Yeah. I imagined a dad handing over his son to the DCI, only to receive a saddening news. Probably 24 hours later that the son is no more. It really touched me. Yeah,
absolutely. Also, that caught my attention, but there are so many developments on that story. Those unexpected, those post-mortem or an autopsy that was said to be conducted. It was not. It ended up not being successful.
Sure.
But then we saw government pathologist Johansen Odor, who withdrew from taking part in conducting the autopsy. And I can see right here, government pathologist Johansen Odor withdraws from conducting the autopsy of Albert Ojwang, a youth killed while in police custody at the Central Police Station. Dr. Odor said the reason why is because Albert is from his extended family. Now, on this other side as well, the protesters were actually witnessed for the better part of yesterday alongside City Mortuary and at the Central Police Station. Actually, there's an update here, it's highlighted here. It says, crowd protests along Gong Road over Albert Ojwang mysterious death in police custody. There's so many developments to that as well. And now we've seen a lot of leaders as well coming out to condemn this heinous act, and now the family is also asking and requesting for justice. So I believe this is a story as well that we'll be following it up for the better part of the day. But we saw Police Inspector General Douglas Kanja addressing the media at Central Police Station, saying that he pointed out that Ojwang's death, which occurred at the same facility on Sunday, that the officers who are in charge will actually be, taken to account and held responsible for these unfortunate events that led to the demise of Albert Ojwang. And speaking of demise, before we actually get to my Gov, I have a copy of the Daily Nation. I'm just going to go to the stories that will reflect you and I and the Gen Zs. There's a highlight that says, Kenyans look up to top police bosses for answers as to who killed a teacher in custody. And then there's faces right there of the police officers that have been named, including Eliud Lagat, Deputy Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, and then Mohammed Amin, who is the Director of Criminal Investigation. Security chiefs are under pressure to resolve mysterious death of Albert Ojwang, a Voi-based teacher and blogger, an incident that has sparked nationwide outrage. Ojwang died hours after his arrest by detectives investigating a complaint by the boss, Mr. Lagat. The story has been highlighted on page 2 and 3 of the Daily Nation. The country's debt, I think this is a story as well that we highlighted yesterday with Stephanie. The country's debt has risen to 11 trillion Kenya shillings. 1.4 trillion Kenya shillings by last December. The president says over every 10 shillings in revenue and 6 shillings go towards repaying loans. So leaving very little for development. That matters our economy. And then the SHA demands full annual premiums to treat patients. Thousands of Kenyans are being denied treatment after the Social Health Authority, SHA, began demanding full annual premium payments before providing care. And then on matters agriculture, it says Kenya's coffee yields set to grow to improve earnings. The U.S. Department of Agriculture projects a 13.3% growth in the country's coffee production in the next marketing period that begins in October. And then another one down there, it talks about teachers' issues, strike warning over pay. Teachers' union have warned of disruptions learning in public schools following deadlock over negotiations for a new collective bargain agreement, CBA, warning comes 3 weeks to expiry of the 2021-2025 CBA. The union signed with the Teachers Service Commission, and the current CBA lapses on June 30th, so probably this month. Now, I think down there they're still breaking it down from the events that led to the demise of Albert Ojwang. Right, families still requesting for justice as part of that, but then there's other stories before we just jump onto my gov. Right, yeah, I'll get to you in just a bit, Kevin, so because you have a copy of the Star. There's learned friends and the doctors and the understood. I think that's just trying to actually point out. All right, so maybe you can highlight for us what's on the copy of the Star, and then we can get to my gov in just a bit.
Okay, the headliner in the Star is why Mudavadi is on shaky grounds ahead of 2027 polls, and I believe the full story is somewhere around page 4 to 5. It's the strategic missteps such as folding his party have left him vulnerable and created a vacuum over and clamoring to fill. That's really talking about Mudavadi and it's his political future. Yeah, then we have a story about a man who beheaded grandmother over tree, gets 35 years in jail. Quite unfortunate, beheading a grandma. And we also have a story, youth use scars to confront teen sexual violence. That's a painful crisis at around page 2. We have a story about a woman reaped rewards from farming, uplift others. Then we have a story about Trump card, talk of Ruto, Raila ticket spark debate. And there's a picture inscribed there of President Ruto and former Prime Minister Raila Odinga in Rangwe, Homa Bay County. Yeah.
Okay.
That's basically all that is here.
Yeah.
And many more.
Yeah, there's an interesting story here about Africa's AI moment, why community input is key on matters artificial intelligence and tech, and there's also a story here on my gov in regards to the same. Let's get to it in a bit. It highlights the Global AI Summit held last month in Kigali. It was more than a meeting of technologies. It was a bold declaration of Africa's ambition to lead the next wave of technological innovation as leaders, researchers, and entrepreneurs gathered on the message that echoed on artificial intelligence must solve the continent's most pressing challenge. Kevo, we are seeing stories AI is take over, the world by storm. It's interesting because I was listening, I was watching. It was actually a video regarding to what's happening with Elon Musk and Trump, and kuna mtu amecurate pale kaka Trump akisema, you know what, Elon, come take your EVs, stack hizi EVs zako, exit. And we were seeing how people are just trying to use AI, and that video looks literally real.
So real,
and it's not. So I don't know. But then it comes against a work of people making use of these other, they're called LLMs, these large language models, kama kina chat GPT. Now there's Grok, kuna ingine sijui inaitwa DeepMind and what.
DeepSea.
Yes, exactly. Wanatumia ku advance pia ku create content, wanatumia pia ku create hadi kuna guest nilimuinterview hapa alisema she's using it to prompt, I think, scripts to curate content for his clients, which is an interesting. I don't know some of the interesting interactions umeona hapo, so stories that AI take over.
AI, to be honest, is the future, and the knowledge of AI is skyrocketing, and it's an advancing area. Things are really moving fast. It's being used worldwide a lot. I mean, who doesn't depend on AI currently? And just even in academics, we use AI to do our thesis, you know.
Are you using it at school, by the way?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Because you need to be at the par.
Yeah.
You need to go to the library and use the hard copy stuff.
Do you even need to go to the library anymore nowadays with these LLMs?
Okay, for the sake of the environment and calmness, you need to be there. But then our libraries currently are also incorporated with AI stuff, you know. You find your laptop or your desktop there. It's quite integrated, so it fastens and isn't stuff. And even that our matter of Trump and Elon, I saw a funny photo of Trump being a dad and Elon like incorporated, and they're like, dad and mom stop fighting. So it creates wonderful stuff like fun and also it's quite resourceful. So AI is the future.
But kuna wale wanaifanyia stories zingine pale.
A lot of people, people tend to do whatever they feel interests them. And as much as it's positive, there are some people that are using it negatively. We can't shy away from that fact. But it's a good thing nonetheless.
It's helping actually.
It's quite resourceful.
Hata saizi ukitaka kuandika CV mzuri, you can even scribble it down and just, you paste it, you prompt it in the LLM and inakupea the finest version.
Yeah.
So AI is good. AI is good.
It's cool. Good. It's cool and it's the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Speaking of good, the copy of my Gov highlights transition guidelines for grade 9 learners. Now ready, says Cabinet Secretary. Right, it says Cabinet Secretary for Education Migoso Gamba has assured the country that the process of choosing senior school pathways for the current grade 9 learners is proceeding without a hitch. This follows the successful development of transition and placement of guidelines by the ministry in collaboration with all stakeholders. He said he directed all heads of junior schools to activate their career masters to work with the parents with the parents of grade 9 learners to ensure that they have the right information to guide the candidates in making appropriate choices. Speaking during the graduation ceremony for 353 teachers at Tambach TTC in Elgeyo Marakwet, the CS said the ministry is impressed that the transition of learners from junior to senior school next year is going on smoothly, noting that the graduates were the first cohort under the competency-based teacher education curriculum. Okay, so we are seeing right here, grade 9 learners being told to stay ready for transition, to ensure that they also ensure that the candidates are making appropriate choices, because when CBC actually came into play, there's been a lot of, I'd say, maybe difficulty in transitioning, and then at some point they pointed out issue of lack of teachers, but then the president and the government said they're going to, I think, employ more teachers so that they just increase the labor force in terms of having more teachers on board and to ensure that the transition is seamless, because I can imagine, if this would have found me during that time, I think but thank God CBC is actually teaching you. It's like it's more career oriented. It's focused on what you should pursue for the rest of your academic life, other than like doing general studies and then you end up, studying something else. So this one is like pinpointing you to just, if you're going to be a physicist, if you're going to be a chemist, an engineer, geospatial, whatever, you mainly focus on that forte and you build it up till the very end, which is an amazing thing. I don't know what you think of the very same.
It's quite a great thing. Because academically, in academics, in its fabric, it's supposed to be special, like you specialize, you be a specialist, not a generalist. And the current model, like the one that you're shying away from, it teaches people to be generalists. And when you get to the job market, specialization is required, and that's where the harsh reality hits you. And I think that CBC is a great thing. Given the necessary attention that it requires, it will bring a lot of specialization and greatness in the academics and the professional world, because it's being argued that the main reason as to why the unemployment rate is piling up day by day, it's because of our academic system, the 844. And really, whatever CBC is trying to fight is to ensure that the employment rates gets high and people be competent. And the fact that you start to specialize as early as possible gives you an upper hand to, you know, get it right when you hit the job market and you hit the road running. So I believe that when it's allocated the necessary fundings and stuff, it will be a success.
Given the attention it deserved.
Sure.
But I don't know if you'd still go back to, you know, there's this one of those courses where you say, if you had a chance to go back to high school, would you go? For me, I don't think
given a chance, hell no.
Like to just start afresh. Oh my goodness, I don't think I can manage.
I mean, it's way beyond us. Let the juniors pick it up. Yeah.
But maybe to a different high school peer, it can. Unajua pia unaweza itwa Breban. I'm a Brookhouse.
I mean, you don't mind.
Because you'll still get to feel the good vibes, and inshallah, I'm trying to actually get to something interesting here.
Okay.
Oh, I just lost it. Yeah, but here it is. 162 Kenyan youth on page 10 of my Gov. 162 Kenyan youth depart for the UK, under the seasonal workers program, and the Ministry of Agriculture has flagged off at least 162 Kenyan youth from the Kenya School of Agriculture to the United Kingdom under the Government of Kenya United Kingdom Seasonal Workers Scheme. The SWS, the Principal Secretary for State Department for Agriculture, Dr. Kiprono Rono, explained that the Seasonal Workers Scheme is one of the many youth employment and labor mobility initiatives that the government of Kenya has been pursuing since 2022. In a speech read on his behalf by the Secretary for Administration, Harun Hator, the PS said the Kenya School of Agriculture is among the few participating technical and vocational education and training institutions in Kenya and Africa. Right, he mentioned up the Kenya Kwanza administration came into office with a commitment to transform the economy through the bottom-up economic transformational agenda, which is now the better. Okay, the target sector with the highest impact to drive economic recovery and growth and propensity to create jobs for the youthful populace. The agriculture sector is one of those sectors with a multiplier effect and potential to create and generate jobs, in addition to providing food and nutrition security, which is a good move because there's been a bit of uproar here when, especially during the first. I don't know if things have gotten better, but I remember when, was it towards the end of last year? Yeah. And also early this year, there was this mass recruitments to take Kenyans to different parts of outside countries for jobs. Some of them ended up in the wrong hands. Others even ended up being, brutalized and whatnot. But under this program, it's a partnership between Kenya and the UK. It's set to ensure that, these youth that have been taken there, they're going to actually use agriculture as a means to create, opportunities. He also highlighted that the day's agriculture is changing and highly technology-driven, and the youth must therefore be trained and technologically empowered to competitively participate at all levels of the value chains. Yeah, we still pride ourselves as a country that, agriculture is the backbone of the nation. Yeah. So I believe as time goes by as well, we are going to outgrow just being centered on agriculture and also focus on manufacturing, because I believe also agriculture, manufacturing is hand in hand.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know what you think of this.
Oh, well, it's such a brilliant move. I mean, 162 youths getting employed, even though it's like a tear in the ocean, but nonetheless, it will change lives eventually. There was this issue that I think it was late last year, somewhere around December. People were being recruited from Kabete, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, actually happened in Kabete. There's another one at KICC, and then another one in Kasarani.
And they were promised, I saw some news headlines, they were promised that before Christmas, you guys, Christmas won't find you people here. And days went, weeks went, and they were crying for justice, like, we paid for it, we showed up, some of us traveled from up countries, and at the end of the day, we still doesn't see the white smoke yet. And I don't know whether this is part of it, but that one was more of hand-on skills, not agriculture. It was more of things to do with techie stuff. But this is also a cool one. I mean, like youths getting employment outside, it's always a game changer, and we believe that the moment you get outside there, you'll be able to, you know, bring the fruits of your labor back to the country.
Yeah.
And yeah, it has been known for quite some time that agriculture is the backbone of our country. Quite unfortunately, we are not advancing at the pace with the current agricultural improvements.
Yeah.
Because the people outside there, speaking of Singapore, they're doing it. They're using the high technology to not necessarily depend on the natural factors. You know, the world is changing, and the atmospheric conditions are changing. We can't depend on them the way we used to. Of course, our country focuses on it's a perennial. Like we believe on 2 rainy seasons, the 2 rainy peaks, but currently, if you talk to farmers, they tell you that sometimes it fails them because it's not, the rain is not sufficient the way it used to be.
Yeah, actually there's climate change.
Sure.
And weather patterns are really unpredictable.
Absolutely.
And I love the fact that it's also integrating tech in a sense that AI is still featuring. I don't know, it's like from now on moving forward, henceforth, there's no way you're going to avoid any new form of AI. Either in predicting the weather, in doing soil research, doing it's called seedling what? Seedling history, seedling packaging or what, or grafting, yeah, so still AI is still there. Even in wildlife as well, they're using AI to actually, you know, keep, I think it's called a record of, you know, how many species of these animals have evolved, how many have faded, how many have been affected by weather conditions, the immigration as well, so AI and tech.
It's still AI integrated,
Yes, and right here on Why Kenya's Story Needs to Be Told on page 14, Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano, that is for wildlife, she says, it's one thing to have fodder to power storytelling, but quite another to master the art of creating captivating digests from the nuggets that Kenya's landscape cultures, culinary marvels, and wildlife and people easily afford, yet we hardly create persuasive yarns on why Kenya is arguably Africa's Xanadu, I believe, because it's Xanadu, okay? Brimming as it does with unexplored gems and a wide range of unique and authentic offerings. For too long, Kenya has been viewed through limited lens, confined primarily to what tour vans can deliver, while the majesty of lions stalking golden grasslands of elephants silhouetted against the marvelous backdrops star the soil, the bush and the beach narrative as well along not possibly fully captured the otherwise profound tapestry of experiences that make Kenya the destination to behold. So she said, as we target 5 million investors by 2027, which is an impressive move, he said we should also endeavor to master the art of storytelling to position Kenya as a haven where ecological harmony and transformative encounters converge. And I think it's a good highlight, actually. Here he says, Kenya's credentials as home of human origin makes for excellent content for storytelling. Science has long confirmed that beneath the windswept shores of Lake Turkana lies fossils that trace the footsteps of humanity's earliest ancestors. Yet few travelers who visit Kenya are just reminded enough that they are walking on the grounds and considered the cradle of human mankind. It's interesting because it is believed Kenya is the cradle of human mankind, the origin where, is it Adam and Eve? It move away from the theory of, because there's the creation theory.
There's the creation and there's the evolution.
Yes.
This is quite more evolution related.
Yeah, and the other one is religious, the other one is scientific.
Sure.
Yes, so I don't know if now this one points to the scientific
aspect. This one
yeah.
points to the scientific because,
aspect,
you know, the early man, they said that they believe to emanate from somewhere around Kerio Valley.
Apes,
yeah.
Do you believe it came from an ape?
That's quite a difficult topic.
That's Charles Darwin's story.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And we can have a conversation over and over about it. But nonetheless, I believe that...
I refuse to believe I was an ape. Among our original human beings.
Why?
Because there's a way they say we had tails.
Then it vanishes with time.
As you know, what are they called? As climate changes, you evolve.
You evolve.
Do you believe you had a tail?
quite weird to think
but
so.
watu wenye wamestudy inaitwaje the body hii nini inaitwa skeleton. Kuna mtu alikuwa ananiambia ukiangalia ati ukiangalia your
somewhere
back here,
around your
there's a
anal
possibility
cavity, there's
tail
some
that
diminishing factor.
That's weird.
It's all interesting. It's science. I mean, anybody can try to explain anything the way they think it should be explained. But back to the tourism sector,
yes.
I believe that it's a multi-billion sector, and when well curated can bring more and more revenues, because currently with whatever is happening in the world, it's more centered of storytelling. Speaking of podcasts, you know, like people, this is what I think and this is what I believe. People will always buy what you sell as long as you sell it properly. If you, initially, the whites used to believe that Kenya is a country where people just run because we thrived in athletics. And they believe that in Kenya, movement is by running. And the moment they reached here, they said, oh, there are some things, cool things happening in Kenya other than running. So initially, we didn't used to sell ourselves, but the athletic part of us used to sell us. And that's whatever they believed. And I believe at all we can share and, sell our precious treasures about history and about tourism can bring us more and more revenue and can cushion these unemployment rates that it's a talk of town every now and then. And the highlights here are many of other ways to reimagine and retell our stories. And the storytelling is everything currently. Yeah,
actually that is, even when you're, the influencer I interviewed here at some point on MBA, it's all about pure storytelling. When you are trying to talk about a client's product, you're actually giving people, convincing people why you should be using this lotion. So you are telling them a story. So you're also giving testimony. Actually, if you use this lotion, your skin will be supple, your skin will be smooth, it will be demure, it will be amazing, beautiful and whatnot. So you're literally convincing people. The same way. And also, I think South Africa is actually the most marketed African country in terms of its best places, even digitally in TV adverts. Kenya, we are trying. But I also believe Kenya, we are leading. If you were to compare, I don't know if you were to put on the map, if you were to profile Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, and then we'll add up for South Africa. And then Usisao, Nigeria, because I believe it should be South Africa, Nigeria, and maybe let's slide in Kenya and then Tanzania, Uganda. In terms of how it's marketed online, even in programs, digitally and whatnot, I think we need to boost that in terms of even also, there's a guest as well I interviewed who told me influencers need to be paid to talk about, our facilities that we have right here in our country that are functional. Si kila time wazungu wanasema sijui Africa kuna baboons, Africans wanaishi under trees. In fact, the technology we have right here is similar to technology that's in California right now. The hotels, the running facilities we have, we are on TV. Who would have believed Africa people would be sitting on a TV talking about current affairs? Literally right now, if you go to any state in USA, they're also on TV
and
saying what we're saying right there, but in their own ecosystem. So I think Africa is advanced, and Kenya, there's a lot of good things to be told. Apart from animals and visiting Mombasa, try go to Bungoma, or try go to Kakamega. Or Bondo Dala.
Maybe try go and catch a fish. Probably.
Test the food.
Sure.
Yes. And speaking of testing the food, there's a story right here before I actually hand it over to you on page number 20. Thing to look for. It says, Chemtrade proposes a 50% reduction in export levy to boost Kenya's trade competitiveness. The Kenya Trade Network. The font is fonting. The font is fonting, I tell you. Yes, the Kenya Trade Network Agency has proposed 50% reduction in a $10 unique consignment reference UCR fee per import declaration form. This is expected literally to lower export costs and enhance Kenya's trade competitiveness. Chemtrade Chief Executive Officer David Ngarama revealed that the draft National Electronic Single Window System, that is the fee reduction and exemption regulations, is being developed with the Ministry of National Treasury and Economic Planning. Ngarama said the proposal, which also exempts users already covered under existing administrative fee waivers, aims to make Kenya exports more competitive and profitable, particularly for sectors like fresh produce, flowers, and avocados. And quote unquote, mentioned this aligns with the advocacy from the Shippers Council of Eastern Africa to address non-tariff barriers. The announcement made during a consultative forum in Nairobi, co-hosted with the Kenya International Freight and Forwarding Association. Q4 brought together partners, government agencies like the Kenya Bureau of Standards, DBEs, eCitizen, Kenya Ports Authority, the Federation of East African Freight Forwarders Association, Civil Aviation Authority, Anti-Counterfeit Authority, National Agency for the Campaign Against Drug Abuse, NACADA, and Kenya Revenue Authority. This is also in line with the broader government policy on promotion of exports towards this end. This is actually the main reason. They just want to ensure that Kenya has an equal share in terms of exporting. Interestingly, Kenya is massively known for coffee abroad. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah,
coffee
it's
partially
mostly
tea.
coffee and tea.
Yeah.
Yeah, because initially that's what the white settlers were focusing on, and that's what they found that is viable in our land, you know, speaking of Kericho and some better parts of Mount Kenya region. Yeah.
Actually, also Kenya is big on exportation of flowers. I don't know if they are the lilies or the roses. Yeah. Like I hear every day there's at least, like, I think maybe two. Right now, I think the last update I checked, it was during Valentine's. Yeah, at least 100,000. I don't know if there's 100 packages or at least there's 5 flights that are leaving this country with exports. But mainly, if you see them, the prominent items being exported are flowers. And then coffee, because coffee also takes up a bit of production. But then, interestingly, before I actually forget the idea, I hear there's a way that we export raw and unprocessed coffee. It goes there, it gets processed, and then it's returned to us as a different product. And then we purchase it at
a higher price. Yeah.
Which I find it to be a little bit ridiculous, you know.
It's quite peculiar because, I mean, if at all we have it here, why don't we manufacture and process it here so that we export it as a finished product? Because truth be told, the finished product fetches higher prices as compared to the raw stuff. Because raw, they consider it like it contains some baggages, you know? Yeah. But if at all you export a finished product, you know, this is the final thing. Maybe let's say an instant coffee. You just reach wherever the destination, then you unpack it, you use it instantly. And there's been a lot of conversations happening around, you know, us being able to manufacture our own stuffs and process them, and the manufacturing industry is rising up. And I happened to attend a workshop somewhere at Coffee Bee factories. They're doing an amazing job. I happened to be part of their production process.
They're processing coffee.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Very tasty coffee, and they have actually. I invite you. They have a shop a container there at the main campus here in University of Nairobi, where we get different coffees, and you know, during the cold weather, it comes in handy. You know, imagine after class, your brain is so full. You need someone.
But they say coffee makes you slower. It makes you dizzy. I don't know.
Nope, I believe.
I'm not a big fan of coffee, but once or twice I grab it. Yeah.
It makes you slower.
There's a way you feel dizzy.
It culminates you. It culminates you, and it makes you more composed and relaxed.
So there's people who use it as some sort of they need to adjust their which is a good thing actually.
It's a brilliant thing.
For me, I feel like it makes me a little bit, you know, slower. Maybe. Especially when I've had a rough day, like operating on fever pitch high. Sometimes you need to just calm yourself, and I get what you're saying. Actually. Yeah. But when I'm going to read or trying to research something, I don't think I'll take coffee.
It's not a good idea.
Especially if you're going to sit for an exam, bro. Hapo kama utakuwa slow.
You might doze off and forget.
Yes, for me, that's for me. Maybe, but for you, you've
the
said
fact that you know it slows you down. It makes you be awake and alert for quite some time. Okay. It has some some stuff in it that
Coffee
keeps
has
you.
Caffeine.
It has caffeine, and caffeine is more of a stimulant, you know. It stimulates the body to function in a different way. And
so you get it cheaply at UON?
Yeah, sure. As low as 80 bob, 100. You get you grab your cup and just enjoy yourself.
There's places where coffee costs almost how much is $50? $25, I believe. $50 is a lot for a cup of coffee. It's doing latte and cappuccino, the white coffee and the black coffee. Anyways, let me just hand it over to you as you get ready to take us through what has got your attention on still my star or my gov. Right here, lastly, on page number 22, on my gov, it talks about NTSA and the United Nations to enhance road safety. Kenya has achieved key milestones in its National Road Safety Action Plan, and is also collaborating with the United Nations Secretary General's Special Envoy to enhance road safety with a focus on border safety and county-level coordination. NTSA Director General Mr. George Njao, during a meeting with the UN Secretary General's Special Envoy on Road Safety, Mr. Gian Todd, said Kenya has attained a key milestone in the campaign since April of 2024, when the 5-year plan was launched. Quote unquote, 1 year into the five-year plan, we are on track. Key milestones have already been achieved, including the development of regulations, forging strategic partnerships, and the implementation of the road safety in school curriculum, with a particular focus on child safety, he pointed out. He also further highlighted that more than 30 counties have had their transport and safety committee members inducted in enhancing coordination of road safety at the county level. He also emphasized, the Director General emphasized on border safety as a key priority area for authorities, saying progress of upgrading of helmet standard and establishment of helmet testing labs in Kenya has been made. He also acknowledged strong support from the inducted counties through the county transport and safety committees. Right, so I think this is a good move. Lastly, right, he says he reaffirmed his support, committing to work closely with NTSA and the government to reduce road fatalities and improve traffic systems. He was accompanied by Dr. Andrew Kiplagat, the Director of Road Safety, and Jacob Sise, Director of Corporate Support Services. I think in the span, let's say, since last year, towards even the end, there were so many accidents and fatalities that were recorded, and it was just alarming because, and this happens a lot, especially during, festive seasons, during back to school, during, say, people are going for holidays and whatnot. There's just a way, there's just a certain spirit that, I don't know, it just takes over. And for accidents are like, 5 people have died, a plane has just, and it's interesting, pure planes are now just falling off from the air, but then also kuna stories of the UFOs, things falling from space. So there's a lot going on, but this is specifically matters NTSA, partnering with the United Nations to ensure that counties are taking responsibility and ensuring that border riders adhere to the laws and regulations there. Safety precaution as well. For example, kauna jump onto Anduthi right now in Tao, at least there's a way. I have a certain fear to nikiwa kwa Anduthi bila helmet. I usually try to convince the guy to anipatia taka iko na harufu yake, but I'll persevere just to get along. Yeah, it's actually an incredible thing. For the sake of your comfort. Absolutely, yeah.
I remember it was last December, people were having like hours of delays around people that are moving up countries. It was really terrible. Like people would be there. I remember we had a burial, I think, and people arrived like 7 hours later. Like they took 7 more hours on the road that they shouldn't have, and really transport sector. I think it really needs to be cushioned, judging from things that are happening currently and the growing number of people owning vehicles. And the problem that happens when people go up country during holidays is that on normal days, like when there is no vacations, people tend to use public transport, and our transport system can comfortably accommodate that. And when it comes to the time that people are going for holidays, people tend to use their private vehicles, for the sake of the comfort. You need to take your whole family, you need to have a comfortable ride back home. And this arguably increases the number of vehicles on the road, and it causes a lot of traffic stop. And if at all the NTSA can dig deep into this and ensure that the vehicle lanes are well insinuated and that our transport system is quite robust, can really take a better part of this problem away from us, and it's a bold move. It's a bold move. Big time. Yeah.
Highly welcome. Sure. What has got your attention on that side as well?
Yeah, with me I have the Star, and as I initiated before, the top headliner is why Mudavadi is on shaky grounds ahead of 2027 polls. You know, it's 2025, but we are quite ahead of time. We are thinking of the next general election, and it's an interesting story we'll come to talk about later. Right in page 2, we have scared but not defeated Kakamega teen fighting menace of sexual violation. It's quite alarming that we're living in the 21st century, but GBV is still the thing that we are talking about currently, but it should be something of the past. And there's a 20-year-old leading charges in raising awareness among girls in schools. And it's such a sad story. Anzalin Mukalo, she's a Jelly sub-locally assistant chief who is at the head of operations to turning the tides of defilement in Kakamega. There's an inscribed photo of a chief that it's really ensuring that that's a thing of the past. And somewhere here in page 2 also we have why plastic still a problem despite government ban. Let me ask you, did you experience this point in time where plastic polythenes were considered illegal?
Yeah.
And weirdly enough, they still exist. Are you aware?
Yeah.
They're still there.
Like, sijui kama unaweza pimia mtu maziwa kwa hii na nyingine, because mostly watu wanauza maziwa, especially this hand packaged milk. Lazima tu wako nazo. So it's fading off, but it's say progression of kidogo.
It's still there. And they're talking about despite formal single-use plastic ban, the problem won't go away with a new report showing Nairobi leading daily producers of plastic baggage. And it's something that I think people just lack a better alternative, if I may say. Because if at all we can have a robust alternative, like they'll just dish it away. And we really need to find a way of making these people know that plastic is not something that we need currently. Of course, we have now the big story, why Mudavadi Supremo, why the Western Supremo Mudavadi is on shaky grounds ahead of 2027. Then we have a picture there of UDA Secretary General, that is Hussein Omar, and Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi. And they say that the Prime Cabinet Secretary Mudavadi, once the de facto kingpin of Western Kenyan politics, faces a political litmus test as the clock ticks down to the 2027 polls. Once a formidable political force in Western Kenya, Mudavadi now finds himself facing multiple threats from within and outside the Kenyan Kwanza coalition. And the political heat in Kenyan political atmosphere, it's always high, and I expect nothing other than higher, because we are gearing towards 2027. Coalitions are being made, and a lot of trendings are happening, like just the one that I did greet you with, Hi Kuzo. And I believe that political alignment is a key factor. And this is my view. I think Mudavadi is, maybe we might argue that he's more focusing on employment, like working right now, delivering whatever the Kenya Kwanza regime promised Kenyans, and their counterparts, the oppositions, are not sleeping. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think, like you've said, there's fever pitch high when you've got temperatures in the country. And also the voices of the youth are also rising really fast. Ukiangalia saizi with what's happening with Albert Ojwang. It's actually, personally I was offline. I think I was offline for the better part of Sunday. And when I came back on the night, on the morning towards Monday, I found there's a lot had already happened from advocacy, activism, even some of the faces that I know are prominently just on the front line. So there's like some sort of an awakening with the young people in terms of, and yesterday, so Trabombidja conducted a town hall session in Kibra, where they were trying to review the 2025 budget and some of the things that are possibly hard pinching to the local Mwananchi, and how they feel that leaders should actually correct and advocate for them. Interestingly, what caught my attention is even before that was, I understand the 2025 budget is financing the Finance Bill 2025-2026, and there's some aspects of it that have raised concern, but still, Kenyans are following it up. And I remember Cabinet Secretary, Treasury and Economic Plan, John Badi, said some of them are just, propaganda that's online, and people actually need to just read the budget and the finance bill so that you don't get misinformed with what's being propagated online.
Yeah, knowledge is power, and if at all we can acquaint ourselves with the right, meaningful information, I think we can avoid the misunderstanding and all that relates to like lack of knowledge. Then inside Kalonzo and Gachagua battle as 2027 race heats up, that's also a topic, still politics in page 7. Multiple insider accounts paint a picture of group already grappling with internal rivalries. And, a quiet yet intense political power struggle has erupted within the nascent opposition alliance in preparation to the field as single candidates to challenge President William Ruto in 2027. While the alliance remains in its formative stage, Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, and former Interior Cabinet Secretary Fred Matiang'i has merged as top contenders for the role, setting stage for a bruising internal contest. Do you remember it's called Sekuru homecoming of His Excellency Kalonzo? I happened to be there, by the way.
Okay.
It was such a warm welcoming back home, and whatever they were requesting is like their son being given nothing but the head. And we all know that our former Deputy President is also there, and the former Cabinet Secretary also, Fred Matiang'i, is there, and I believe that they need to put the house in order, because for them to find a worthy opponent, like a worthy candidate to oppose the Right Honorable William Ruto, they really need to put the house in order. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I think I agree with you, because we are just exiting. June, lastly, as we exit, because we are out of time, there's a story here about mental health. It concerns men. Sunday, 15th is Father's Day, but matters mental health. So June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. It talks about 1 in 10 men experience depression or anxiety. Less than half receive treatment, 10%. I'm reading from my favorite site. It's Puberty International. It talks about June is Mental Health Awareness Week. It's a time to spotlight the silent battles too many men face and the stigma that keeps them from speaking up. Depression, anxiety, burnouts, loneliness. These aren't just signs of weakness. They are human experiences. We remind every man that you're not alone and it's okay to ask for help. That's what Puberty has combined right there. It has, I think, 4 slides. The next one, it says, it's actually talking about you're not alone. Men's mental health really matters. The other one is still loading. But it says 1 in 10 men experience depression or anxiety. Less than half receive treatment. But then it also sets space for how many men are actually open to having a conversation about things that they're experiencing, they're going through, their struggles, because there's a certain fear here, and like even Puberty here has highlighted, there's the shame, there's the stigma, the fear of saying, hey, by the way, my life is not together, I need help. How many men usually say that? And it actually says 80% men are 4 times more likely to commit suicide, making up nearly 80% of all suicides worldwide, in the whole entire world. So a man is literally 4 times more likely to die by suicide as compared to the female counterparts, which I find it to be really bizarre and just wild, because men are not allowed to actually say whatever they're going through, because There's a conversation we held here as well. I think it was on relationships. Walikuwa wanasema, as a boy child, your family tolerates you when you don't have nothing. They're just waiting for you to exit to end utafute kazi, unde maisha. So, but I can imagine while you're going through these burnouts, the sadness, they've highlighted here, depression, anxiety. You don't seek help, you just continue going through life here. And that's why men are likely to die, 4 times more likely to die than their female counterparts. I don't know if you think it's something that you agree with, or you have a different
it's the harsh reality anyways.
Yeah.
But some people call it toxic masculinity, but come to think of it, we are considered superior and we don't need to be vulnerable. The moment you try to, air out your emotions, people will say that, you're being a weak man or something. But men are allowed to cry. It's in order.
In private or in public?
Regardless.
It depends, yeah.
Regardless.
But crying is actually a natural act. I don't find it to be a weirdo kind
but
of
initially, the toxic masculinity part of the society considered weak men. Like if you cry, you're a weak person.
Yeah.
But
I cried during my dad's burial. Not even before that, yeah. I cried like a baby.
And I believe it came with some sort of relief.
Yeah, I was actually relieved there.
Yeah,
but I remember somebody telling me you're not supposed to cry in front of the elders. Yeah.
I mean, what's wrong with it?
Actually,
let's be honest.
To see
what's
my dad
wrong
in
with
a
it?
casket, and we were just talking the other day.
Remember, it's normal.
So I cried, yeah.
Yeah, it's allowed.
I cried like
it's
a stupid
supposed
baby.
to be
I
there.
keep on saying that.
No, not like a stupid baby.
Yeah.
You're trying to insinuate that only stupid babies cry. But that's toxic masculinity.
That's toxic masculinity.
Sure, yeah. You should not. No. You're allowed to cry. Everybody's human. Let's be real right now. Everybody's human.
Actually, we go through pain, and the reaction to pain is, ouch, it hurts.
You just want to let it out.
Yeah, and a tear is likely to fall.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
Men's
mental
health month, and
yeah.
You're allowed to cry. You're allowed to cry.
Yeah, and
you won't be labeled as a stupid baby when you cry.
I cried like a stupid baby. Sir, tell us where people can find you on social media.
On my socials, Kevin Odipo everywhere, and that's when you find me on X. Apparently, I don't do Facebook and stuff. I'm only on X and Instagram. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Ensure that you get a glimpse of Kevin Odipo. Coming up next is a conversation that Stephanie had and matters regarding conversation on real estate and property. So ensure that you catch it in just a bit. But towards 9 a.m. to 10 a.m., we'll be talking about matters, finances, budgeting, ensuring that you have financial literacy skills that can take you through your life as a youngin who's out there trying to figure out what in the heavens is this life all about. So we'll be talking about that and much more at Y254 channel at Brand Supporter One. See you on the other side in a bit. Now, Father's Day is just around the corner, and right here, we love celebrating and recognizing fathers. And so, we have a special and an amazing gift for you. This is what we want you to do. Record yourself a 1-minute video telling us why your dad is your hero, all those good things about your dad. And ensure that you post that same video on your social media and tag us at our social media platforms at Y254 channel on X, Instagram, and the rest. But ensure in your caption you use my hashtag. The hashtag is MyKBCDad. That is the hashtag. And also remember to tag the following hotels so that you get to have an amazing staycation during Father's Day. And the amazing winner will actually be selected after shares have been reviewed on Facebook. So ensure that you tag the following hotels: Fairview Hotel, Nairobi, Best Western, Nairobi Upper Hill, and then Holiday Inn, Nairobi, 2 Rivers. Like I said, the video with most likes and shares, the person will be contacted, and you'll get to spend a staycation at one of these luxurious hotels as we celebrate and mark Father's Day.
Y254. Imagine.